welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a tag video and I'm doing the faking it tag. This was created by Heather Gregg and brilliantly done by Elisabeth from Bouquin and Books. I will post a link down below to both of those channels. Please subscribe, they're absolutely brilliant. So the faking it tag is 10 questions and let's start. The first question is Imposter Syndrome. An average person gains power, and the thing that immediately came to mind is this one, The Confessions of Felix Krull. This is a Dutch version. I read this book when I was 15, 16 years old, and it was my first Thomas Mann. And actually, it's a brilliant novel to. It's a brilliant introduction novel to the works of Thomas Mann. What is it about? It's about Felix Krull. He is a young, beautiful man, and he works during the daytime as a waiter. And at night, he is whatever he wants to be. At a certain point, he gets into the world of the rich and famous, and there he gets an offer he can't refuse by a Marquis de Venosta, I believe, and everything goes from there. He really dives into the world of the rich and famous, and he's an imposter. So it's a really brilliant, funny book. And an absolute must-read, especially if you have never read the works of Thomas Mann. It's so much easier to get into his works than, for instance, reading The Magic Mountain or The Brudenbecks or Death in Venice. Start with The Confessions of Felix Krull. It's very lighthearted, it's funny, it's extremely well written. It's one of his last books and an absolute must read. Really do it. Then the second question is Becoming. A change in career sparks a story. I immediately thought of Amélie Nothomb. It's called Fear and Trembling in English. This is the Dutch version. Also a brilliant book. She won Le Grand Prix de l'Académie Française with it. So you have to know Amélie Nothomb was born in Kobe in Japan because her father was a diplomat there, and then she came back to Belgium, studied here, and then went back to Tokyo. And she wanted to work there as an interpreter from Japanese to French and from French to Japanese. And she gets hired by her company, and at a certain point she has to interpret. And many of the Japanese people were offended that she spoke Japanese, and they didn't want to see her again. And so she gets depromoted, and then she becomes a sort of a secretary, but she isn't very good at it. And then she gets depromoted and depromoted and depromoted, and at the end she is the toilet lady, and she sees the absurdity of it, and she dives into the absurdity of her situation. Because she's Belgian, we Belgians love absurdism, and we are absurd. People can be offended by her, the way she acted, but it's Belgian, and that's what we do. Really, it's a funny book, it's a hilarious book in a way. It's very, it's literally not the best book when it comes to, I prefer Thirst, for instance, but this one is very enjoyable to read. And why did I take this book? Well, this was her breakthrough in her writing career. And when this book came out, she received a letter from Japan, from the woman who hired her and who had very much disrespect for her. And she just wrote, "Congratulations with your book, it's brilliant." And that is why I chose this book for the second question. Then the third is rebranding. A person or institution changes dramatically. I immediately thought of this one, A Life of Anna Akhmatova, Anna of All the Russians. Anna of All the Russians is, this lady is the most loved poet of Russia. She is a force of nature. She started her career, her very successful career, before the First World War, and then in the 20s, and she always wrote about her love for the country and about Russia and about the people, and they loved her. But then Stalin came to power and he hated her guts, and even her son was sent to the prison camp somewhere in Siberia. But she never stopped loving her country. She fought against Stalin with all the words she could find. And she was friends with Shostakovich, Pasternak, and all those people. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's if you want to read a story about a very powerful woman who fights with her words and with her pen and with some ink and writes killer poetry, this is the one to read. This is very, very strong. It's Anna, All of the Russians, A Life of Anna Akhmatova, written by Elaine Feinstein. Here, this is it. Strong lady. Then a cover, a book you bought because of its cover. Hold on for it. This is it. This is it. Look at it. Look. This is it. So, it's a whole story. This is the Wiener Werkstätte, Yearning for Beauty, the Wiener Werkstätte and the Stocklet House. And that's the Stocklet House. Beautiful. So, why did I buy this book? When I worked in Brussels for DDB, we had one office. You could see from that office the gardens and the back of the Stocklet House. Now, the Stocklet House, I will put up a picture, is an amazing building. It was built for a banker's family called the Stocklets, the Stocklet, and we call it the Palais de Stocklet. For us, it's a palace, and it's an amazing, beautiful building. It was built just after the First World War, and it's completely protected from the house up into the cutlery. It's everything was especially designed. Mostly by the Wiener Werkstätte. Wiener Werkstätte was the equivalent of Bauhaus in Berlin. Wiener Werkstätte is from Austria, set in Vienna, of course, and they had famous designers like Hoffmann. Hoffmann designed the building, the Palais de Stocklet, and it's unfortunate you can't visit it. You can't visit that house. It's not, nobody lives in it, but you can't visit it. Of course, yeah, somebody is living in it. There's always somebody there to protect the house, but it's not open for public. Let me show you something. So everything was especially designed for the house. Hear me out. The walls were decorated by none other than Klimt. I will show you some of the. Let me show you. Sorry, but it takes a little bit of time. The dogs stay there, and everybody, a lot of things. People stay there. And the back is even more beautiful. Look. These are some of the decorations in the house. Can you see it? Everything was especially, look, typical Klimt. Gustav Klimt. There's a lot more. Even the scissors, the bottle openers, everything was especially designed for that house. Everything. Look at this. How beautiful. How beautiful. Let me show you some of the glassware. Here it is. So this is some of the house. Really, that's a dream. For me, it's a dream to get into that house. So yeah, this is why I bought this book, because I'm still, oh no, the Stocklet House, I'm sorry, was built from 1905 till 1911. I'm so sorry. Ooh, look at this. The chandelier. Tea set or a coffee set. And that's amazing. Everything. The lights. Look at it. And then this. Beautiful. So yeah, it's hefty, but it's so beautiful. Yeah. My favorite house. I wouldn't want to live in it, but yeah, it's so beautiful. I really wanted to show more. And there are so little pictures of the house. It's so well protected. So this is, look, can you see it? This is Madame Stocklet somewhere. Here she is. Beautiful, huh? Oh, everything was specially designed for that house. There's nothing that they bought somewhere in a store or that they used from a heritage or whatever. Nothing. So yeah. Question 5. Stories and music. Book with music as the main theme. I immediately thought of The Bird Cottage. It's written by Eva Meyer. She's a Dutch author. And it's a true story. Len Howard was a woman who lived in the 20th century. She was at the beginning a very famous viola player, and then the second half of her career she bought a little house somewhere in England, very abandoned, and she became a true bird lady. She connected very well with the birds that lived in her garden, and she wrote 2 very famous books about the birds and the birds' life that lived in her garden. It's a beautiful book. If you like birds, if you like nature writing, read that book. It's absolutely stunning. Then, Spectacles, a book set in the entertainment industry. This book, I tried to look for it all day yesterday, and I can't find it. It's written by Tatiana de Rosnay. It's called Manderley Forever. Tatiana de Rosnay is a very famous French author, very well established, and she was fascinated by the life of Daphne du Maurier. And why I chose this book and why I really wanted to show you this book, but I'll put up a picture. I have it somewhere, but I don't know where it is. I'm rearranging all my books, my shelves, and it's misplaced somewhere. Maybe it fell somewhere in the back, I don't know. At a certain point, Daphne du Maurier wrote a play, especially for one specific actress. Her name was Gertrude Lawrence, and it's called September Tide. It became a huge, huge success, but it's also claimed that she wrote it for her because she was in love with that woman. She never admitted it that that happened, but apparently they were lovers for quite a while, although Daphne du Maurier was married, had children, but the marriage was quite cold, and I don't think they even lived together with her husband. So yeah, I was thinking about that book. It's really good. Tatiana Rosnay is an absolute brilliant writer. She wrote, for instance, Her Name Was Sarah. Yeah, there are some really good films made of her books. And then, what else do we have? Laughter lines. Laughter lines. Media in which comedia and comedy and humor features. I immediately came up with Wilt by Tom Sharp. It's such a funny, hilarious book. Wilt is about a teacher well, in his 50s, and he's fed up with his wife and he wants to murder her, and he tries it first with like a sex doll, you know, the inflated sex dolls. And it all goes wrong. It's so hilarious. It's very slapstick. So yeah, it's an absolute must read. Fashion book, film set in fashion world. I couldn't find this one either. It is The Life of Coco Chanel. I will put a link down below. Coco Chanel is, yeah, of course, the famous designer, but she was a lot more than that. She was a mistress, a lover, a spy. She liked the Germans in the Second World War a bit too much, and this story is very, very compelling, and it's a fascinating woman. Not a very likable one, actually, but yeah, the events, the things that happened in her life made her to what she was at the end. So yeah, she was a bit, yeah, how you call it, opportunist. The ninth question, drugs, pharma, or addiction. It is, I ordered it online, Wishful Drinking by the wonderful Carrie Fisher. So I'm told that this is such a brilliant book and I want to read it. I will receive it tomorrow or the day after, I think, or maybe later this week, because it's a bit of a short week. We had a holiday yesterday and I bought it secondhand for €2. So I'm really curious what it will be. So Wishful Drinking, the memoir by biography by Carrie Fisher. And then every youthful story from viewpoint of a young person. I immediately thought of Marcel Pagnol. Marcel Pagnol is a French author, and thanks to him, I started loving France, the French language, with passion. I'm thinking about Le Gloire de mon père et le château de ma mère, and this is so beautiful. Beautiful. I really don't like, normally I don't like a child's point of view, but this one is so well written and with so much love for the area, for the south of France, for the Provence. And you can hear the crickets in the back and you can smell it and you can feel the sun on your skin, and oh, it's so beautiful, so beautiful. It's about his childhood in the Provence. He writes with so much love for his parents. It's amazing, amazing. I believe his father was a school teacher. I've read those books when I was in my early 20s, 5 years ago. And yeah, I love those books. I really love. So yeah, here it is. That's me. This is my tag. I will tag Kitavan of Kitavan Reads. I think of Zena beating around the books. That could be interesting too. And let's do Bob the Booker, although he doesn't do much tag videos. I don't care. He can do it. He can eat for me pizza. So why not this? So yeah, there it is. Thank you for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.